one person waiting. Quick for people to get here. I'm not a licensed professional or any kind of medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Any major change to your diet or any other aspect of your lifestyle is something you should check with a doctor with before enacting in your own life. I'm also not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is a recommendation for an investment. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Nothing I say is a admission of guilt. And all opinions are my own. Nothing I say is a reflection of the opinion of YouTube or any of Google's associated properties. That being said, welcome to my stream. You guys, it's subscriber-only mode, meaning it don't cost nothing to become a chatter. Just hit that subscribe button and feel free to ask a question. Also, I've been recommended to start mentioning my membership, which is only 99 cents a month, and you get access to all the recordings from all these past streams. And there's a lot there. Like, as far as spiritual content goes, I imagine it's probably one of the best deals on the market. Only 99 cents. Anyways, that being said, that's my, I guess they call it grift nowadays. That's my whole grift. Good morning, Noi. And looks like we got some people showing up. There's 7 people here. Feel free to say hello. Introduce yourselves if we don't know you. And yeah. I'm just trying to keep up my streak over here on trying to see if we can revive the algorithm on YouTube. I had a major realization. It was really a dream, but I'm going to take it as a hint. Sometimes it's like that. I don't really know. Maybe it was just a dream because it's something I've been thinking about a lot. But I think I'm going to prepare for some time in nature. I mean, like deep in nature. Somewhere very remote. And yeah, I'm currently trying to figure out how I can pack enough water for me and the dog to last a substantial duration disconnected from the world in the most remote place I can possibly find. Welcome, Maya. Good to see you. We got 14 people here. You guys don't forget to subscribe so you can join the chat. I honestly just kind of made the title of the stream not with any particular topic in mind, but rather as guidance, perhaps, for anyone that wanted to ask a question. Welcome, Jennifer Ann. Good to see you. Good to see you. But yeah, what do you guys want to talk about? The virtue of the void. I keep thinking about that whole recent experience involving the wake up of the prefrontal lobe. As I was actually reading up on some neuroscience about the structures of the brain, and I realized that where I felt the sensation was not just the frontal lobe, but it was probably more like the prefrontal lobe. I'm not sure if it was the whole thing. It went back to like right about here. But today I'll tell you what, my senses are just pinging. Yes, nature while fasting. You definitely read between the lines, Proax. A seed was planted there was between Ramadan and then, there's, someone mentioned something about Lent in the chat a couple days ago, and or maybe it was yesterday. And I just really got to thinking. I was like, you know what? There's something about that. Multiple religions are kind of pushing the fasting thing right around the same time. There's also some people that believe that, we're supposed to, and I'm one of those people, by the way, that we're supposed to be on a 13-month calendar, right? And if we were on a 13-month calendar, then every month would be 20 days. And supposedly, the real New Year is supposed to be around April 1st, which is why they call it April Fool's Day, because we're all supposed to be the fools that are believing the 12-month calendar, right? So it's kind of like a little snub in our face, right? And it's also, kind of a changing of the seasons time. It's also probably historically in nature the time when, depending where you are geographically located, probably the time which is most likely through just circumstances that people end up fasting. Because, in certain areas, it's like you'd be under snow right now. You'd be at the end of your supplies for what you stocked up over the good season. So this is like time of survival, kind of, right? Anyways, back to the chat. Hi, Hunter. Welcome. And Raphael. Raphael has our first question. Thank you so much. This is a great question, actually. Has semen retention significantly changed your life or progress, you think? What do you think would happen if you broke it? Well, it wasn't that long ago that I actually did have a wet dream. So the body kind of orchestrates that to happen on its own at some point, which I think, most of us, at least those of us who are not super young, probably thought that was like the kind of thing that is, pretty uncommon to happen as an adult. Now, what I've noticed is that through practicing semen retention, I've noticed a lot of positive things. So I'm just going to go right into all that. Is that first off, like the morning wood, if we're allowed to say that on here, is much stronger and more regular. And if you've ever dove into the whole internal alchemy, which is essentially what we're all about here, to be honest, above all things, I'm not a really super religious person, but I'm, a very spiritual person. But as far as interest in the spiritual realm and things that I personally am practicing and trying to get better at, which semen retention is part of, I consider myself above all things an internal alchemist, right? And so one of the most important things as a man in internal alchemy is the ability to get an erection, okay? And not for sexual purposes, but for alchemical purposes, right? Because this is how we as men can reverse our age. We can generate vital force in our testicles, right? And if we know how to move that vitality, which requires an erection, we can build that up and then recirculate it into our body to rejuvenate and heal ourselves before we get sick. You know what I'm saying? And more so than that, hey you guys, sorry everyone that got disconnected. We had a little connection problem. My phone decided to hop onto, oh man. No, we're having a little bit of connection problems. Hopefully, we're having a little bit of connection problems. Hopefully, we still got most everyone's attention. I don't know what I was saying when that got cut off, but I think that it was something about Tantra. So, again, I'm still celibate. It's been 10, 11 months now. But that being said, another major thing with the semen retention is the ability to engage in, I don't know what type of tantra they call it because I don't really read that much about this stuff. I just kind of do it, you know what I'm saying? But, there's a whole tantric aspect, especially when you want to invoke certain energies. Like, for example, as a man, perhaps, or even as a woman, I guess, perhaps you want to invoke some goddess energy, right? So one way that you do that is tantrically, right? Through visualization and interaction with that goddess within your mind's eye. Well, having a surplus amount of sexual energy built up inside you makes that process a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier to feel the movement of energy, recommending that anyone just jump straight into the Kundalini thing without really understanding what goes into all that and what can be the effects of that if you are successful. Not that they're negative effects, but they are dramatic effects that don't really coincide with 3D life, for example, work and family and things like that. Of course, if you're able to complete the process, all those things could be massively enhanced. But it's a multi-year process. It's like they say 3 to 12 year process. And even myself, I'm a few years into it now. And so it's not a fast process. So unless you're willing to, throw everything out the window like yours truly and just say, you know, get those spiritual riches or die trying kind of a thing, then maybe it's the kind of thing to wait until you have a situation that can accommodate that. Anyways, but there's a lot of other things as well. If you combined, as a man, it's really kind of a hack. Okay, again, I'm sorry to the ladies, I don't know how to operate your bodies from inside your body. Well, I do have, wait, let me rephrase. I do know how to operate your bodies, but I have to do it from within inside my body, which can sometimes be inside someone else's body. But as far as harnessing your own feminine energies that are flowing through you, it's like, I don't really know how to tell you to do that. But as a man, I can. So, it's, I think innately women are more in touch with that, feminine side of themselves, which is really the side that we're talking about when we think of spirituality. Not to say that it means that that it makes you more feminine or anything as a man. It just completes you, it balances you, and makes you a more powerful man, right? But it's really energy pools within inside yourself. There's the lower dantian, which is like your sexual center, and the lower dantian is where your energy is stored, right? And so you learn to disperse it through yourself. Well, if you've already, the thing is that according to Qigong and all that, you have to build up that center to be able to hold more energy, right? Well, part of what goes into that is semen retention. Part of what goes into that is having control of your sexual energy. Part of what goes into that is pelvic floor strength. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of aspects that go into it, all of which I happen to have built up through my past career for over 10 years. So, I'm, you can't skip steps. If you haven't built up that area, you need to build that up. And that's one way to do it as well. The other thing is, And I don't know how this ended up working out, but like in my whole life and my career and everything, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what I always experienced is that when you're on the verge of climax, right? That, you know, historically, I've always known that, like, you know, by flexing certain muscles, you can kind of hold back for a moment, which makes a more intense feeling, which eventually releases, right? But, and I'm sure most guys know what I'm talking about there. But only after practicing semen retention for a long time was I able to get a hold of the ability to do what's called a banda lock, right? The mula banda lock specifically, right? And this is a thing where, say you're having reach orgasm, that you are a basically stop, release from happening. You are able to not only contract that pelvic floor muscle that kind of stops it for a minute, but you're able to also grab a hold of that flexed muscle with some other internal muscles inside of you to create a lock, right? So you engage the normal muscle, you know, does all that to stop, you know, paralyze the contractions that usually happen after orgasm, and then squeeze this internal muscle that's attached to that, and that locks that muscle into place so that no contractions can happen at all, not even, you know, once that it's tired, because the small muscle gets tired pretty rapidly. And in doing that, you can also build up a, like, it's, you know, say you're feeling a little stagnated, or, you know, you want to practice some kind of tantra or something like that, you can basically, you know, as this energy for healing and stuff, because there's like a lot of, you know, and you can also increase your testosterone and, you know, things like that, because chemicals entering your blood, healing chemicals, vital chemicals, things that are all your energy channels, you know, able to release that and cycle that through your body without like releasing it outward, but still having the climatic sensation or whatever that goes through, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is kind of like a method of rejuvenation, you know? So there's a lot of that, but regarding what would happen if I let it out, I don't know. That's something that I'm waiting to find out when I have a reason, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm just, for me personally, I'm kind of dedicated to the alchemical process, and I don't know. I haven't really given a lot of thought to the thing that I've climaxed or to orgasm with only my mind, without any kind of stimulation at all, just through visualization and stuff. And that can operate in two ways. If I don't do the aforementioned thing where I block everything off and turn it back inward, then what happens is that a lot more volume, just to put it in a academic or educational way, is produced. Like, there's a tremendous amount of thing, because it just kind of goes on and on and on and on, and in that sense, it's literally your life force is just flowing out, flowing out, flowing out. But there's not really a strong sensation. It's morely, it just kind of skips to the contractions, and the contractions keep happening, right? And so you fucking lose everything, and you don't even have the pleasure or the sensation of that, right? Versus if you lock everything upon that moment, and especially if you do it mentally without any kind of stimulation, what you end up with is an extremely intense sensation, right? And you don't lose anything, right? And even more so, another interesting thing is that I've noticed is that, like, if you do the first version where everything is flowing, not only do you miss the sensation, but you end up extremely tired afterwards. Like you're, boom, out, right? And, you know, maybe the urge to have a refraction becomes very stronger, versus if you turn it inward, what you'll find is that you're basically on some kind of like natural Viagra. Like everything is like stuck. You can't get it to go away. And you can do that repeatedly over and over and over and over again. And you can literally see a difference in yourself if you practice that kind of thing. Like you can pretty much like watch yourself, like you want to like mess around without, you know, kind of knowing. So the basically chant, you know what I'm saying? And at some point there's a possibility for, you know, getting a spiritual guide, you know, which can help you through that. And, you know, at some point also too, you integrate these energies and kind of know, you just can feel everything through. But like I can literally feel the pathways like inside of myself, like things that are, I don't know how to explain. Like there's, you just gotta explain it yourself. Sorry if it's lagging. And let me go back to the chat. You guys, are we still lagging? ProX says, you'll be offline for a long time in this hard, challenging month for us. Don't leave now. But it'll probably be either much later in the month or like later in the month or early next month. I know I said I was going to do this before, but I'm actually going to do it for sure now. I rethought it last time. I've been through so much since then, but I now in retrospect, I realized I really wasn't ready then, but now I'm ready because I realized that, you know, that there's something else to get on to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like even right now, like I have such an acute sense of smell, you know, and, my vision has become so sharp, just little things. And even my hearing, like all of my senses really are just like dramatically improved at this moment. Their step to go, like a big one, like a really big one, you know what I'm saying? And I just kind of like thinking about all the different religious stuff, like, you know what I'm saying, like every major prophet and all these, they all go into the wilderness and spend some time there, and fast. And I'm just thinking, I'm like going, you know, like it's like I've done a lot of fasting and I've done some short bouts of silence, but I've not done anything comparable to the great ones. You know what I'm saying? And I just think it's time. I just sense it. I sense that it's time. And it's also partially like I was like looking at these like diagrams of this. I was like kind of researching neuroscience and stuff, and like there's this this bundle of nerves that comes up into the center of your brain and then branches out through every part of your brain, right? And I keep thinking about the crown chakra, the 1,000-petaled lotus, right? And each petal of a lotus on a chakra represents a convergence of like an energy channel. Well, all the energy channels terminate through the head, and I'm like looking at the neuroscience, the brain, you know, diagrams of how it all works, and I can kind of see. I'm like, that's the crown chakra for sure. Like as far as like the physical manifestation of it. And I'm like, you know, I felt the very acute thing happen in the front of the head. I've had the thing happen in the back. You know, that's how it all started. But I'm realizing that, you know, there's a step where it all comes alive together, you know what I'm saying? Which is kind of like maybe what I experienced briefly, you know, for 7 minutes or whatever, when I had my first degree of enlightenment that started this whole thing. because I did acutely feel that come down through the back of my head, go all the way down my spine, and then raise back up my chest and like shoot out my eyes, right? And I think that more or less kind of like was like everything being active at once. Well, I mean, that was just a beautiful experience, you know what I mean? And if it's possible to stay there, to stay with everything just blasting like that, then there's nothing else in this world I care about. I don't care about anything else. I mean, I love Sam, and many people on this planet, but like as far as like my own personal goals and aspirations, I have none other. You know what I'm saying? Like complete and total enlightenment is the only thing that matters to me as far as goals and wants, needs even. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's just basically been like my recent realizations and my new found moment of clarity, you know what I'm saying? And I just as much as it's like I get it, Maya, they all the support of the group is important, but there is, I think, a reason why, if you dive into the different religions and stuff, that like it's around this time that everyone's doing their fasting. You know what I'm saying? And even to say, that I don't know. I just feel compelled. Anyways, back to the chat. I hope we're not still lagging. Andy Proax says, Andy, once we took a wild trip for 2-3 months, traveling offline most of the time. Now we are group fasting. Join the group, please. You'll get what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, somebody post a link to the Telegram group. You guys, we have the Telegram group for like ongoing like interaction when I'm not online. And Noy is asking, is semen retention a big challenge for you? No, not anymore. I mean, it definitely was in the beginning. It was like a huge challenge. You know what I'm saying? Like in the beginning, when you first start, I mean, like the urge is probably stronger than any other kind of addiction urge, in the beginning. But as time goes, positive effects, like for example, like there's a feeling that I sometimes have down there when I've been like working with that energy a lot, where I'm like very aware of my testicles, right? I hope I can say that. I mean, this is an educational broadcast, and human anatomy should be something that we can talk about. And when that happens and I have that feeling, I will notice that I start gaining muscle mass without doing any kind of working out or even really consuming a lot of food or anything. Like no noticeable differences in my life other than my spiritual practice and the sensation that I'm having down there. And so I've come to believe that in doing this, it's actually possible to raise your testosterone through meditation, using tantric things. Not to mention, I mean, there's no better way, at least for me, myself personally, to get the attention of the goddesses than to, do what I do best, even if it's in the astral plane. Guacamole Blasbo says, what do I think about quantitative investing? I don't really know what that is. Are you talking about like algorithmic trading? Is that what quantitative investing is? Because I've heard a lot about the algorithmic trading. I think it's really interesting. I mean, for me personally, I'm a kind of person, especially like when I'm gambling, and I guess when I trade too, like I'm a systematic. I like to build systems. So if you're talking about algorithmic trading, it's really interesting to me. It's something I've always wanted. I used to want to get into when I was actively trading, but I'm not much. I didn't really at the time when I was actively trading it. Like I trade futures mainly, so it's like 24 hours a day, fucking, 6 days a week or whatever, fucking, and I just didn't really feel like I had time for anything, much less learning how to code. So, the other thing too, though, is like, of my trading techniques really focus on exploiting the fact that most institutions and basically like the majority of the liquidity is coming from I don't I don't know who's still here. I'm sorry. I don't know who's still here. I'm sorry, you guys. We're having major connection problems. Anyways, what I was saying for the third time is I try to predict basically what I expect the implied volatility. Holy fucking shit! Why? I may have to call the stream, you guys. The connection is becoming super annoying. Apparently I can't even get this out of my mouth, but trying to say is that the fishing technique is, you try to predict the change in implied volatility on like a 1 to 2 standard deviation drop. Holy fuck. I don't know, you guys. It's not going to let me do this. I don't know. I think that the connection's just not going to happen. I have full 5G. I was on Wi-Fi, but the place that I was connected to the Wi-Fi is super busy right now. So I think that their connection is throttling. Anyways, maybe it just doesn't want me to talk about investing. I really wanted to finish what I was saying. But basically, you predict the implied volatility of a 1 to 2 deviation drop, and you put in a bunch of one cancel all orders at that price at the I give up. On technique. Back to the chat. Let's see what's happened. I don't even see. Oh, there's our quantitative investing. Welcome, Angelica. Welcome, Zana. Welcome, Anna. Welcome, Brenda. I guess maybe it just didn't want me to talk about investing. I guess investing's off the table. No investing talk. What do you guys want to talk about? New question. It seems like maybe it's working now as long as I don't mention anything about standard deviation or implied volatility. We're good. We're good? We're good. Okay, no investing talk, you guys. YouTube doesn't like it. How's Sam? Sam's doing all right. He's you know, he goes through times of depression. I feel when he's been eating too good. You know, Sam is on a mostly meat diet, and he likes it so much that he just wants to eat all the time, and he thinks that there should be unlimited meat supplies for him. It's like kind of an interesting concept. It's really interesting how much we can learn about humans from dogs, right? You know, it's like, you know, it's actually interesting because I actually believe this, even though the person that said it, I feel like probably meant it in a way more, you know, evil way. But, you know, the whole Charles Schwab thing of the own nothing and be happy, right? But you can also observe that in, for example, an animal. You start giving them really good things that they're not used to, and they just want more